Okay, I'd like to open the meeting of April 23rd, 2024 at 7:04 p.m. Sorry, we're a little bit late. Just want to announce that this meeting's being recorded and is on Zoom. On March 29th, 2023, the Governor Healy signed into law a supplemental budget bill, which, among other things, extends the temporary provisions pertaining to the open meeting law
Hey,
to March
Todd,
31st,
one little thing for
2025.
this. You
Yes.
no longer have to read this because the town
Yep.
passed a new regulation that covers this.
Okay. All right.
Not a new regulation, it's a new policy.
Okay. Then we shall forego that. Thank you for that, Dave. Now it's TCAM is recording it. It'll be uploaded to YouTube. Roll call of members present. Todd Melanson, Chair.
Ethan Madela, Vice Chair.
Jessica Funioli, Clerk.
Dave Ajon, Superintendent.
Jess Sexton-Duranian, Liaison.
And I don't see anybody else, so we should be good.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Yes, sir.
Which agenda are we going off of? Because I have 3 iterations, and the one that's
It would
posted
be
on the town has received 18, and it looks different than the one in the recent email. So I just want to make sure that the one we're going off of
So
has been posted
the one that we should be following. So the one that we should be following is April 23rd, 2024. It should have the normal preliminaries that we have, business meeting votes to be taken, discuss an alternate board member, review PowerPoint. 4, I had some things put on there as a commissioner's report. There's a liaison report, superintendent reports, and then there's 4 items under office and update and reports. Is that the
Okay.
one you have?
Like I said, I have 3, and I just want to make sure that the one we're going off of was posted in the appropriate. And,
Yes,
you know,
it was.
the appropriate. Okay.
Yes, I made sure with Kathy.
Okay.
All right. So we've done roll call. I don't. One addition, and I don't know if it's not an emergency or anything. I just want to say to the staff that they've done an excellent job on keeping the updates coming on Facebook. You know, it's really helped with a lot of people and appreciate it. Did you get a chance to review the minutes, Nate?
I did read. I just want to look in the packet and make sure everything's what it is.
Yes, sir.
Many tabs. Okay, that's the old one.
Well, the meeting packet should be the same. I don't think that changed all that much. It's just
no. I had way too many tabs open. Here we are. Perfect. Yes. I'm good with that.
Hold on one second. All right. So are we good? Jessica, I don't know if you would have gotten the packet or not.
I'm going to abstain from that vote.
Good enough. Nate, do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the meeting minutes as submitted for the meeting of March 11, 2024.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Todd Melanson, aye.
Nathan Madela, aye.
And Jessica Funioli is abstaining.
Correct.
Okay. And review correspondence and public comment. I didn't see any in the packet. Let's see, just double check. Um, doesn't appear to be. So we will continue on. 3.1, discuss alternate board member.
So let me just give you a background. A customer came in and asked if you could. So researched it. There's a charter for the water department that right now does not
I think
allow
we
it.
need to change the town charter though.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
correct. So that is the answer from, if she listens to this, that's the answer. And it's not a short process.
No, it would have to be a change of the town charter. I think the town charter review committee just reviewed it and sent it up to the state legislature, if I'm wrong, Chaz. Am I?
Yeah, there's a much more drawn out process that needs to be approved by the powers that be in Townsend, and it needs to be submitted to the legislature. The legislature then needs, I think we have to do a town meeting on it as well.
Right.
Right.
So
So
So the answer for that customer is that it's currently standing. It's not allowed, and it would be an act of Congress, literally, to change it to be allowed. So that takes care of that one.
okay. Any additional comments on that for anybody?
well, if I may, Mr. Chair, there is a charter review committee, and if this was something that you guys would want to move forward when that process starts again, I can notify the chair of the water commissioners if you'd like. I don't have a problem with that.
We'll see how far it goes.
Okay.
Nate, go ahead.
Does anybody know what the purpose of this item was?
It was a request of a resident to see if it was allowable to have an alternate.
Right.
So
Well, I know our board in the previous year and a few previous years, we've only been running on 2/3
Two.
of a board, which has made it difficult when someone's not there. And I think now having a full board, it'll be a lot better. There won't be a need to cancel a meeting if one of us can't make it.
true.
The resident had their
Could,
hands up.
Mrs. Struthers, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
I offered that just to be of help if you needed it.
No.
But now you've got a
Yes, ma'am.
a fuller board now, but that was just an offer on my part if it was possible and if you needed it. So
Well,
that's what
it's
it's
appreciated.
about.
I actually appreciate it. Nate and I have been pulling double duty for a while now. But with a full board, I like Nate said, we shouldn't have that issue. It's been a long haul. There's been a lot of responsibility on Nate and I, and actually,
Appreciate all your hard work. I was just
Well, thank you.
reaching out
Same
in
to
case
you,
needed
Lisa.
me.
thank
Okay,
you.
guys.
And
Thank you.
Thanks,
I gotta
Fred.
say, I've gotten Mrs. Struthers, can you drop your, just hit your raise hand button to take it off the screen? There you go. No, I'll take this time to say thanks to Nate. Nate has been a good co-commissioner, and I've got a lot of respect for his opinion and stuff like that. He and I don't always agree, but I do highly respect him. He's got a lot of good viewpoints, and he brings a different perspective. Sometimes mine's too water focused, and he brings a very good balance to it. And I look forward to working with Jessica going forward. All right. Oh, go ahead, Nate. Did you say something?
Oh, I was seconding what you said.
Well, thank you. Let's see. 3.2 review PowerPoint.
Right.
Did you get to look that over at all, Nate?
No, I didn't see anything. Is it supposed to be in the packet?
It's in the
It should
packet.
have been on. It was in the packet.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in the packet 24, 23, 24. This is the correct tab.
Brenda,
I
can
see
you send
a
it?
parcel, a plot plan, 5.1. I
Oh,
see
might
a
have been
truck.
separate. Nate, hold on. Brenda, can you send it to Nate's email right now, the PowerPoint?
Let me check my other
Yes, I
tabs.
will.
Oh no, I just closed it. Click happy.
So if you want,
Yes,
I'll give
sir.
you a breakdown of the, like you said,
You
you
know what?
asked,
Yep, hold on one second. I think
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Oh,
It was an unrecognized format. So
all right. The other thing is should we, let me ask a question. You guys were already sworn in. Do we swear you in again here?
No,
Did you get sworn in with Kathy?
we both did.
Okay, then that takes care of that.
oh, the one thing you didn't do, you didn't reorganize the board somewhere.
Okay.
So this
I
this
didn't
year,
see
I
that.
don't think there actually is. But
So,
So then there's no need to reorganize the board then. So we're good the way we are.
as long as I mean, I would entertain anybody that wanted to have it on the agenda. If Jess said she wanted to be a different position than what she is. I would entertain.
Oh,
a
I'm good
motion.
with where I am right now. Thank you.
You mean at home?
Yes.
all right.
Okay.
So yeah. Do you have it open now, Nate?
I do. Yes, PFOS.
Yes. I did go through it. And how do we share it online so that we can see it? But a couple of notes I had for you, Dave.
Sure.
The one I have, slides 3 through 6 are a repeat of the same slide.
They're not. They're that every time you put it up, it adds a sentence on.
On each one?
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
And it's that way because you just have to. It's just breaking it down a little bit for the customers. I will tell you, I have 30 customers that I've talked to in the last few weeks on people who want to hook up to the water system.
Then that's fine. Well, they're not customers yet. But
No,
and
right. Potential customers. And what the big drawback, and we'll get into that later, is that these are people with existing houses, afraid because they're hearing news on PFOS, and they can't afford to have the hookup fee and paying to hook it up. Yeah, do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I just want you to start thinking about that because
No,
we
and
have
when
to do
would-
something about it.
So the PowerPoint, is that for us or for town meeting?
That's the one you asked for town meeting,
Yeah.
and I want to take
It
the
would-
regulations and shove it up the top because
I wasn't
Here's
sure
why.
where you were. I wasn't sure where you were going with that, Dave.
Right.
I'm glad you did what you did.
so we love to blame EPA putting regulations down because why is this all happening? Because we got new regulations. So I want to take the regulations, put it top,
Okay.
and this way,
Um,
and then build up from there.
okay. Now I understand what you did. The other part. So I was going through it, and
Yep.
the whole point of our communication to people was from the get-go not to panic them. I mean, it's in the news enough. I like most of what you put in there. I'd like to stay away from the examples if we're going to neighboring communities and stuff like that.
I can take
Um,
the Groton one is an example of what is in the legislation for the state right now.
No, I
it's
know.
word for word.
But I was thinking slides 9, 10, and 12.
That's the example.
Yeah, take the examples off. I love the packaging one.
Uh,
Sample.
The reason why
I
I
like
put
it.
the two examples for
Go
the drinking water is drinking water, bottled water is not regulated. And we have two bottled water companies
Well,
in
it is. It's just at a
in
different
Massachusetts
regulation.
that have tested
I
positive.
believe bottled water is. It's just that at a different, it's a different regulation at a different level than drinking water.
Right.
But I do
It's just-
believe bottled water is. But yeah, no, there's been detections. With the health advisory being so low, that makes nothing safe to drink. I don't want to add to everyone's
All right, the
anxiety.
examples were just something for the public, and I'll take those out.
All right, and the other point to it, Dave,
But,
is the other point too is I'm great at building PowerPoints
Yeah.
that are usually way too long. So I'm just trying to trim it down. I don't want to lose everybody. On slide 14.
Hold on. So
What are our nitrite levels that we say again?
they're at 5 out of 10.
They're out of all right, so we're
On
right at
Witches Brook 2 and Harbor Trace, but we're going GAC, and that's going to get taken care of with GAC.
all right, and then the same with the pharmaceuticals and preservatives. Do you have
GAC
SOC?
takes care of that.
Yeah, I know, but so if we're already what we
Decrease
could
amounts.
say, what we could say is that these are all the things that instead of saying they're found in water, maybe saying these are the things that the treatment system will remove that may or may not have existed in the water. That way we're showing them what may or may not be in the water, but also beyond just PFOA and PFOS, what the treatment system has the ability to remove. I think that would
Right, but
be,
this was found in our water.
I understand that, but our GAC will take this all out. And I think
Correct.
you're saying that, you could say that, but I would definitely put on this that our treatment system as it is now, the new one, will remove all of this. And
Correct.
I think it's a better message. Like I said, I'm trying not to panic people. The rest of it, what the final rule requires, the state stuff, the one about Groton I'd take out, but everything else,
Yeah, I'll take
I
that
really
one
love. I really love everything else you put in there at the end. With the filters and stuff like that.
I'm going to have the one for the building, but I want to be a little more done. They finished the doors today. They're doing the doors
Yeah.
today and tomorrow. So we'll get.
So all right, 3 through 6 I understand, but I think 9, 10, and 12, 14, and 20. One, it'll shorten your presentation.
So
and
may
and I-
may be found in your water.
yeah, and that the system the new treatment system will remove all these. Let's pound that, so we're not just hanging our head on PFOA and our PFAS, but the system, as it is set up, will handle these other things that may or may not be found in the water.
Okay, I got it.
All right, Nate, what do you think?
I think it's good. Everything I've read looks to be, inline, factual. From what I understand, I would just, make sure that any wording that you put out there is in line with reality as far as like may or should or can, words like that. I haven't seen anything to the contrary, but it looks good.
Yeah.
As
So
long as
I'm
everything's
going to switch the
factual and
regulation part of it and move it up. So
All right, yeah. Can you send us a final draft? And this is for the informational. This is, oh Christ.
right, it's just for information at the town meeting.
Sorry about that. What I was going to say is, let's say that again. I'm sorry. You said it's for the informational portion.
The one you asked for town meeting.
All right. Thank you.
And I brought in the examples of the well, but the example for the study, I can take out the word example for the homes. That there's been a study that 71% of homes that have a well and a septic system have been found to have PFAS.
So I would stay away from that one.
Is that
until the state waives the personal liability. I mean, nobody is at fault for this. I don't want neighbors fighting against neighbors because firstly, if they test their well and it comes up, first of all, wells are out of our purview, private wells anyways. But the only way they would get out of having to clean their property, because the site would technically become a 21E site, which has to do with hazardous waste cleanup. You'd have to prove down gradient status.
Right.
What I'm hoping for, and I actually spoke with a large group of legislators, it's not a law. You can't make it a law because it's a DEP reg. What they're trying to do is get the regulators or the legislators to put pressure on DEP to grant that personal liability waiver so that those of us that haven't done anything wrong, we weren't the ones that produced it, we used legal products that were sold and are still sold today that contain PFAS at levels that would potentially contaminate their own property through a septic system. It would waive that personal liability so that their property values stay what they are, and all they would have to treat is their private
Right.
well water
I'll
or
take that.
go to
I'll
a
take that one out.
I don't want to see someone shoot themselves in the foot, so to speak. It unknowingly, to be quite honest with you, because they're not going to know. Can I ask you a quick question? Am I blurry on your screens, or
Oh,
can
yeah.
you see me?
a
Yes.
little bit?
But you look better.
Thank you for that, Dave. Thank you for
Shots
that, Dave.
fired.
Okay. All righty.
Can I
And
ask a
that's the-
logistical question, Todd?
Sure thing.
When you guys approve this, if somebody could send me the final version
Yes, sir.
so that I can get that loaded up for the informational session.
And
Question.
go right ahead, Nate.
Dave, you said 70% of wells private wells were containing PFAS. Of what data set is that? Is that across the country? 70% of wells tested, 70% of all
It's
existing private wells?
71% of the wells tested that have a septic system and a drinking water well. It was the entire state of Wisconsin.
That's
And
Wisconsin. Okay.
right, but if you take the study that the private well testing in Massachusetts, they haven't broke down the numbers, but the numbers are similar.
Right.
Because I broke them down.
Yeah, but
I
there's
just-
not.
Every time you
don't-
see a data set like that, my point is that they say, 70% of, it doesn't explain the breakdown of how many wells were tested and how many wells weren't tested, how many wells existing, and this and
Right,
that, and the numbers can get skewed.
Right.
No,
so-
they can. And it also they can get skewed by what's the population density. If you had a neighborhood like Timberley Park that had any sort of wells on it, given their concentration of septic systems, yes. But the further west you go, you're going to find the wells. I don't know. I think just keeping that one out of there because I think
Yeah,
there's too many questions.
we'll keep that out of there. But the point is, just so you're aware, that if you have a well and a septic system, it's more than likely you're going to have some kind of traceable PFAS in your well.
I think to be honest with you, I
We'll
think
take
a lot of
we'll
the
take
stuff.
it out and leave it at that.
Yeah,
And-
but I also think a lot of stuff you're going to see is environmental background. They're already talking about down the Cape. It's not septic systems they're actually worried about. It's the ocean spray carrying PFAS off the ocean. So, the more we can keep this on the straight and narrow and less ambiguous and stuff like that, I think that's a good.
So I'll make the
Option,
changes and
let's say.
I'll send it out.
Because ultimately, you're going to be a salesman for town meeting. You're going to want to say, we want you at town meeting to support this and us spending this crazy amount of money because this is the benefits that you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you.
You have to be
I-
a salesman when you go to town meeting with certain
Right.
things.
So, and Jess, you were the next up I was going to ask. So thank you for piping up and don't be afraid to. I don't think that'll
I
be a
won't.
problem with you. No, I didn't think it would be. Nate, go right ahead, sir.
Is the state, thank you, Mr. Chairman, is the state going to be, are they trying to get you to be, when I say you, I should say, is the state trying, or the EPA, state or federal, trying to get local water municipalities to be some sort of an authority behind private wells?
No.
I don't want to misunderstand.
No.
They are not.
That's
Okay,
it's
good.
strictly on the board. No. What they are is they do want you to communicate the risk. But I've been part of the stakeholders group that's been going over this. I was part of the last one when they came up with the first set of regs. What DEP is waiting on, or at least the people that work on the regs and stuff are waiting on, is for the legislature and the DEP leadership to hash out that personal liability on private wells before they come out with anything. What they'll come up with is a new so the process, so everyone understands, is the Bureau of Wayside Cleanup will set a new, I think they have 3 years to do it. The way the reg is set up now, they were supposed to review it every 3 years. They put it on hold until, because they knew the new EPA reg was coming out. Now that that's done, they're going to review their regs. They have to be as stringent as the federal one, but I believe they have 3 years to come, or at least 2 to come up with the new reg.
They announced they're going to do it within 2.
So normally it's 3. Go right ahead, Nate.
I might have missed this. Did you discuss the food packaging example?
Yeah, we took that out.
Oh,
Okay.
you did? I thought you said you liked it. You didn't leave that in.
No.
I like it, but I don't like McDonald's. I don't like Stop and Shop. I don't like Sweet Green labeled. I don't know.
Name
I'm
brands.
not a lawyer. Yes,
Yeah.
name brands. Certain
All right.
large fast food people. I
People
like
that have a lot of money.
slide, but I don't want. Yeah, I don't know
No,
about that.
The food packaging, the actual food packaging one, the diagram I like.
Keep
It's
the,
the
keep the
paragraph.
diagram and take the paragraph out. Got it.
Yes.
I think the paragraph is good because it outlines. Just looking at this picture, I like the specifics that Dave provided, but
Okay.
I wouldn't brand them.
Let's take the
There's a lot of
brand
branding
names out.
stuff going on right now.
I'd like to see it flip, Dave. I'd like to see a diagram first, and then just instead of
Yeah.
saying example, say food packaging facts, and then take out the big name, the brand name, so that we're not.
Yeah, I think we just leave it out. Hold on.
Instead
No,
of saying maybe, focaccia bag from Sweet Green labeled EcoCraft, just EcoCraft in general, things that are labeled EcoCraft maybe.
I
Just
think
take the-
EcoCraft is a trade name. I think it would
Yeah,
go
it's a
back
trade
to,
name,
like,
and so is
Oh, it is a trade name. Okay.
yeah. So I
I
think.
like-
Go ahead.
I like the way he had said it before. One of the times we were talking about this, he said like, "Oh, that packaging, that water kind of beads up on it, or it slides right out."
Yep.
And that goes along with the water resistant stuff. I mean, obviously, if it's waxy cardboard, it might not be PFAS, but
Well, the
Um,
three main, to be honest with you, the 3 main exposures for teenagers right now is microwave popcorn, delivery pizza, and Chinese food, believe it or not. And it has to do with that nonstick coating that's on all of these fast food.
And that
Um,
nonstick coating is 400 millionths parts per million, which is
Yeah, I don't even want
millions
to go
of
there.
times more potent than our water.
what? Say that
That's
again.
the thing is, so the levels that are in these coatings, Nate,
Yeah.
are almost in a
400
different gallon seat.
parts per million.
It's so if you do, I think
It's a million. It's 400. It's 40 million times more concentrated in your wrappers than it is in your drinking water.
Dave, I'm not sure of the math and the significant digits. We could probably say it's in a different realm of reality. But I think if we stay away from that,
I did the math. That's what it comes out to.
well,
Orders of magnitude.
okay. But I think
But
we're
it
good.
doesn't matter. It's bad.
That would, yeah. But I
Important
think
to outline that.
I'll try to rewrite this one.
So yeah, if we can keep the brand names out of it.
Yeah, I'll try to rewrite it and add add some stuff to that.
So, but I like I'd like to have it flipped because I think that packaging really pops. And then you have, if you had food packaging facts underneath it, I think that would be outstanding.
Yep.
Um,
Okay.
any other comments from Jessica or Nate or on the PowerPoint?
Yeah, if I didn't say it already, like I said, I liked the way Dave explained it at one of those meetings that we had, where like, if people can look at a packaging and say, oh, this is kind of like has a waxy coating, a waterproof coating on it, educating them in that level, saying, oh, like fast food wrappers. Why? Well, because of the way it's coated, the reason of it, they don't want the food to leak through. It's an impervious, whatever. If there's
was
a
like-
way that could be described, that would let people do their own research. You know,
Right.
they say, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
kind of like that." And I've encountered newer products like that, and I said, I wonder if this is like what Dave was talking about, and it may be, it may not.
Is that the same stuff that they put inside like ketchup bottles to make it so that the ketchup doesn't, you get like all of the ketchup out?
Let me
Yes.
put it this way: if anything says polymer additive,
Polymer additive.
well, look at it this way: EPA regulated 2 plastic manufacturers not to add PFAS to their plastics. They sued EPA, and
And they
won
won.
in court. They won in court. So, you know, it's going to be a long process. In fact, you're only affecting about 5 to 10% of your actual exposure by dealing with drinking water because they're not dealing with anything else. You're looking at 80 to 90% not. I mean, you look at pet food containers, you can in the bags. The bags are made so oil can't go through. Well, that's PFAS and it absorbs into the food. The can, they want you to get every last drop out of that can. Well, the can is nonstick. So, yeah, this stuff is everywhere. But I think the more light we can bring to it and say, this is what we've taken action for. The end of that, the end of the PowerPoint, Dave, is spot on, and you did a really good job with that. And you know, just for these tweaks, I think you did a really good job with the PowerPoint. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
Like a cast iron pan.
Yep.
You're heating up oil. Like
That's
when you
it.
season a pan, you're heating up oil and it creates a polymer. It's not a polymer additive, but it's
No,
not
it's
anywhere near one of those compounds, right?
No. And the oil is natural. All the stuff we're
Right.
talking about is specifically man-made.
Right.
The oil is unless they come out and they tell us that they've been making PFAS as virgin olive oil, then we're all in. So I'm not going there. Let's see. So I believe
1.1A.
Thank you. Oh crap! Hold on one second. I'm an idiot and shut it.
We're talking about lawsuit funds.
Oh yes. All right. I have my notes written down. Hold on one second. On the lawsuit funds, I think we've mentioned a couple of times that we would like to have those funds formally put into like an investment fund, so to speak, that would gain interest and that we would use to defer the cost on GAC. I thought it was, since I got the notification from Dave that another lawsuit has been settled, that we formally say that. And I've talked to DOR. What we're talking about is legal and stuff like that. And I wanted to talk, and I know Chaz has talked to town council about it, or we've asked him to on a couple of occasions. But one of the things I wanted the 2 other commissioners to think about is when we get to that point, one, we agree that that's what we want to do with those funds to defer those costs. But the other is we don't necessarily have to use the bank that the town uses. We can do a request for quals. We can get them to bid against each other so we get the best rates. We get someone that is experienced in these sort of accounts so that we get the best bang for our buck. That we start thinking about how we want to make sure we use those funds. Do you want to restrict their uses to just GAC, or do you want to leave a little wiggle room? I'd be open to discuss it, but where the costs on GAC change out are going to be fairly significant. I would hesitate against that, because this way it's not going to be solely relying on our water rates. We won't be putting this cost and this burden, and we can keep our water rates sustainable. I think that's going to be a large challenge for a lot of these water utilities that are going into this. All the money's been put to building things and not how we're going to operate and maintain them over the long term. I think the department and the town would be best suited if we took those funds, put them in an interest-bearing account or an investment fund. Nate, I'll get you in 2 seconds. Let me just finish. And then that way we can rely on those. It may not pay all of it every time we change out, but at least some of it, so we're not depleting it, and it's there for the long term for all the residents. Go ahead, Nate.
I remember bringing this up before about, I don't remember which money or which account it was, but what's changed? Because I was told before we can't do that.
I checked with DOR. I've checked with multiple utilities that do it. It is legal to take, especially if it's incoming money from a lawsuit like this. You can do that. It does take, I don't know the specifics on how to set it up. DOR was very specific that you can do it, and that you need to get, they won't give you legal advice. They'll tell you what is possible and what is not. And that's, when we got done discussing it, I wanted to give Chaz a point and see if we've done with the town council. Jess?
So that.
Yeah, that's
Nate, wait a minute. Nate was not done.
No, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead, Jess. I'll save it.
that was going to be my next question. Was Chaz? Did you run this by town council?
Well, there's a couple of things, if I may, through you, Todd. What was discussed before, Nate, was I think this is what you're referring to, was that we can't pay down a loan with money from a
another
loan.
loan. Yes.
From another loan. That's what we discussed before, and I think that's what you're referring to. This is actual money that we're getting direct from the recovery from the lawsuit. So Todd is right. Yes, MDOR is allowing these to be put in a interest-bearing account. What we need to do, and what I'm working with town council with, is setting up what the proper account is supposed to be for, and we have to set a criteria of expenditure. So these are the things that you can, if we're taking it in, is the what monies that are interest can be spent on, and what monies that are principal can be spent on. There has to be a breakdown of the both areas before we even set it up, so that we're all clear. You guys are all clear on exactly what it is. Now, I have my next appointment is with town council in his next session. He was on vacation last week, so I couldn't get the information back to Todd before this meeting. But once I have that figured out, I'll reach out to Todd, and then Todd can disseminate it to the rest of you guys. But we need to get a specific order of where it can go, what type of account it can be. You guys can figure out whatever account that you want, and then we would have to just make sure that we have a strict accounting of it, so that if we do get if you guys get audited, we can say this is what the interest was spent, and this is what the principal was spent on.
So, and that's where where we interview different banks or firms, they would control it under our direction, but the auditing would be an unbiased third party. None of us would have, so to speak, have our hands in the kitty, and to expend it would be in our monthly vote to, or depending on how often this stuff gets changed out, would determine how often we would have to vote to change it and stuff like that. I've seen it used. I've seen other utilities have like a biannual report or a quarterly report, depending on how things go, from the firm to the board saying, okay, this is what you invested. This is how much it's gained or a loss. This is how much you've expended. This is what we see the trend. The object would be not to deplete it. And, you know, so we could vote on how much, what percentage of the change out bill we could do it. But I just wanted you guys, I don't think we need to take any votes on it or anything right now, but definitely be thinking about it. So when it does come up, we can act. But I really wanted to bring it to the forefront in a recorded meeting saying that is our attention. I think maybe we take a vote on that's our intention to do. And I'll make a motion if that's all right, or if Nate, you want to make it, that's fine.
I would add it to the agenda and do a formal
Okay,
vote.
let's do that. Yeah, no,
my
Nate,
thought on this-
that's yes, sir.
Is that I like this, and I thought it was the MBTA money that I was talking about, but I might be incorrect. But I would say I'm for this, but I won't take anything under 4.4%.
I thought
Okay.
you were going to say
Listen.
4.4 million.
Well, that's the average high yield. So
I'll
if I
take
was
that
to go
too.
dump money into a high yield account, it would be about 4.5%.
Right.
So nothing
Well,
under
that's
that
why,
would have to be
Nate, that's why we get them. Let's get
get them to bid.
three of them in here bidding against each other. And we get the best deal for the residents. The other, so I'll move on to the next points. Capital improvement and system plans, they kind of go together, to be quite honest with you. One of the things we promised, or I did, was that when we built this plant, it would be a long way to clearing up the discolored water that has been a bane of the residents that are on our municipal system. I just want to make sure that we're formally making sure we're planning for it in the capital improvements, and this is where system plans comes into it. I want to make sure that Dave has the tools. One, that we are accounting for a large part of our problem, especially in Timberley, is that hydrants aren't at the end of the system. Now, I'm sure Dave has a plan for it and stuff, but I think in the efforts of transparency, if we're producing a capital improvement plan, hydrants need to be listed as a high priority, that we're going to be buying them and in placing them and accounting for them in our budget so that it's visible, so that people know that we're holding true to our word. Where system plans and capital improvement come into play is I've seen, we have a GIS. Dave's done a good job of putting it together. You take that GIS, I think we talked to Ty and Bond. Dave, if the other two commissioners agree, I'd like to invite Ty and Bond with this idea to the next meeting, but that we produce what's called a hydro model. I know for a fact that the system doesn't react the way we thought it did. When Paul did the ice pigging, they thought it had it isolated, and it wasn't, and it went bonkers. Now we've added a treatment plant, we're replumbed how the wells work, and we've looped it over to 13. I think you work with the GIS, they take some pressure measurements and flows in the system, they create a model on how your system works. And then you take that and you have them create a unidirectional flushing program, or UDF. These are tools that Dave can use. And it's not going to be immediate, it would be something. But I think putting hydrants prominently in any sort of budget we put together going forward would do nothing but be transparent that we are working towards solving the discolored water. I think the system plans are tools that will help Dave. And if we budget for them and we show that we're planning for them, discolored water isn't an overnight fix. It is a long-term process. But if we show them that we're giving Dave and the department the tools to do it, that we're planning for it, I think it holds true to our word that we're working towards that solution. And I'll take any comments you guys got on that.
Right. Can I, one comment I have is we have expended our master plan that was dated in March of 2021. There's nothing left on it because it's all been done. And
Then it's time for a new one.
so what you're talking about right now is a new master plan.
Okay.
So that's what we have to, because the
All right.
the Cross Street well was on it, Highland Tank was on it, our Main Street well was on it, looping Emery Road was on it. And so everything that was on the master plan is completed.
So the things then that the things I in the terms of what I said about the investment fund, Nate, why don't we put this as an agenda item that we can vote on next one? But I would say that things to think about are definitely putting hydrants on there so that, like I said, it's transparent that we are planning to do this sort of stuff. We start to be transparent in our communication that discolored water is not an overnight event. And I can swear to God on that one. The two other things I mentioned are tools that Dave and the department can use, and it'll be in perpetuity. I mean, this is something that we're giving the department and the residents to use, and all they need to do is, if they make any significant changes, is update the model going forward. It will tell them how the system works, what gates to shut down. A unidirectional flushing program is the true way to clean a system. I would add Dave's tank plans to that. That's on this later. I don't know if it's on the current one, but these are all things that, like, we should set a 5-year. When we hit that 5-year, the board or whoever's on the board at that time can reset it. But it gives us, it's a transparent step to show the people in the town what we're planning, what we're doing with the money we're collecting, not just on vehicles or things like that, or on just on operational costs, that we do have a long-term vision for the department. And I will take your thoughts, Jess or Nate.
I think this is a good idea. I think especially if Dave finished his 5-year plan early, I think we should definitely start another one. And I'm all about transparency, and the more communication we can get out to the general public to get more support from them, the better we're going to be.
Nate?
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself, and Dave certainly has knocked it out of the park, getting a lot of stuff done.
Yes. And I will say also, some of that was done, or a lot of that was done internally by our staff. Highland Tank, I think we bought the equipment, but the staff itself did the cleaning, the painting. I think the electrical, we hired an electrician to do the work, pulling the stuff out of the pit, but making the pit, the pump house at Main Street Station. Dave, you guys did that, correct? Except for the pad.
No,
guys-
our guys did the pad
Oh, okay. My mistake.
and
We
the
did
water line
in the water line. So,
and all the cleanup work and the road and everything else.
so
Yeah.
we've done a lot of that internally, which has kept the cost down. Dave, so the PowerPoints for the informational session that happens before town meeting. Actually, town meeting, I would start making notes of what we've done internally to mitigate and keep down costs. So when we talk about our budget at town meeting, we can say, look, we cleaned the tank, we built this, these are the things we did internally. A lot of the stuff with the treatment plant, there's no way in heck any of us should have any idea that could have been done internally. But
You should
anything
monetize it.
yeah, and anything that, and Dave, you've got a good handle on that. I'm sure you could do that. And that is an excellent point.
Well, the perfect
but-
example is the Main Street wall, which
Yep.
was budgeted at $1.826 million, and we finished at $597,000.
So that sort of information at town meeting, I think, goes a long way to selling this department as being financially responsible, and self-sufficient. I like those two words: sustainable and self-sufficient, and financially responsible. And I think a lot of what you just said, if we could, Jessica, that was a fantastic idea. Beyond my just throwing stuff on the wall and see if it sticks.
Hmm.
I think that part of it goes a long way. So I would.
People like all these facts and numbers, and you can literally show them via like a pie chart or a bar graph or something and say, this is how much we budgeted for, this is how much we came under, this is our extra, and this is what we're putting the extra into.
So I like, and in that regard, if you guys have, like, for me, the hydrants in the system model and the flushing, that goes to something that I ran on that I would try once we got PFAS, as best we could on its way and stuff. That would become second once the plant came online. I don't know how we do it without those other things. So those those would be my additions, plus the storage tank that would give us the pressure capacity to take up almost anybody in town that needed to come online. If you can think of something that would fit what your goal for the department would be and what we need for infrastructure, please add it to it, and we can hash it out. We can prioritize it. The list can be as long and short as we want it, but I definitely think having input from all three of us would be beneficial, and that's what I'd like to see beyond me just taking up all the time talking.
So
So-
on that, something to think about for the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
5 sections of the town. Talking about something you just said. Lunenburg Road, Fitchburg area. There are 437 homes with about 1,200 people, which is about.
You just remind me of something, Dave, that I know the booster station's halfway up West Meadow Road,
Yep.
but I know the people below that barely have any pressure at the house. If we can do something to boost the pressure going up that hill, would the new tank do that, Dave? Do you think?
Isn't there an add-on that you can put?
No, because the tank's on Lunenburg Road. It will
No,
not.
but no, the new one you're talking about, it's on off at West Elm, isn't it? Up that way?
The one
new
we're designing right now is on
Yeah.
Lunenburg Road.
So the pressure coming down that would not affect.
No, because you have to cross over Main Street.
So is that something we could put on the capital plan for tie and bond?
I would wait.
investigate?
I would wait for what happens with PFAS, and here's why: because Ashby is going to be looking for water again, and let them put the tank in.
Put the tank in on top of West Elm, which would give pressure on both sides.
Right. Let them put the tank in. We just boost the booster pump.
All right.
So why spend money when? Let's see if they come to us.
No, I
first.
know what you're saying. All right. I just don't
So
like leaving those people out. I mean, they've had to put
Right.
booster pumps
Right.
in their own. But Dave, what you said makes sense. That whole fiduciary responsibility and sustainability, that
So
makes sense to me.
I
But-
have a list of areas by population affected. Lunenburg Road is about half the people in private wells would be effective. And then the next one was Townsend Hill Road, which is going to lead up to Chaz and his little piece of land. But we don't need a tank up there. You put a booster pump right next to the existing tank with a pneumatic tank, and that is a very much cheaper solution.
Okay.
So
okay.
I wanted to say that because that's going to come up in Chaz's in a second. So I have a list of population cutting down. Lunenburg Road, we need a booster pump in a tank. Townsend Hill Road, we just need a booster pump at the tank. Warren Road is gravity. Now, Warren Road, Lunenburg, as you know, plans on building a treatment plant, got SRF funding, but they think that they're going to get voted down by the town because the residents, as you know, it's a
They
district.
can't. It's a district.
Right, but the district meeting, they think it's going to get voted down because, as you know, in a district, you usually get about 10, 15 people showing up for a meeting. But from what I've heard, there's going to be over 100 people from the Hickory Hills, Hickory Lake.
Yeah, they're worried they're going to draw down the lake, which is it's not the same.
And they
Yeah, I
have
know.
they have come to us and asked if we would sell them water.
Do we
And-
have the capacity? Do we not the physical capacity? With counting in growth or new business, hopefully for the town,
all
do
right,
we have the legal capacity under our Water Management Act?
yes, because it's a national, it's a national, it's
Yeah,
a safety.
no. So what I'm asking, so when does, all right, let me back up. We pull water utilities pull water legally out of the ground or from a surface water under called the Water Management Act.
Right.
You have a registered volume that right now is unconditionable, and we have permits. How much of our volume is registered? How much is permitted, Dave?
Permitted is 3.7 million gallons per day.
Do we have what's registered?
Well, what do we use?
No. So there should be two volumes. There should be a registered volume and a permitted volume, or do we only have permitted?
We only have permitted. And it's 3.7 million gallons a day with the treatment plant. Our, during the drought, we were at 1.7 for one of the days. Well, it's
Okay.
not 1.7, 1.2.
So let me ask another question then. When does our permit expire and come under review?
4 years.
So the way things are going, just to let you know where I work, because we weren't using all of our volume, we lost 900,000 gallons or 0.9 million gallons a day in volume off of our permit. I know where I used to work, they're going to lose their 0.2 million gallons a day. So I just want to make sure where we are in our usage.
If we sell it and DEP approves it, then it would be in our benefit.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. I just I know the legalities of it. I just want to make sure we don't agree to sell it, but then lose our volume and not be able to deliver it. That's the
Right.
only thing.
We won't lose our volume if we're selling it to another town who needs it, and they're
Okay.
thinking they're not going to pass. So they asked for $500,000 a day, which the revenue at border. If
Yeah,
you,
we could that comes down to
that's your
then
negotiation.
that would so that you two, Nate and Jess, understand.
And
That
it'd have
would
to
come
be-
down to a negotiation with us on what the bulk gallons, dollars per gallon we would sell them, or
Right,
per
and-
1,000 gallons or whatever.
Right, any
Um,
agreement would have to be done by the selectmen
Um,
on this in this case because an intermunicipal agreement.
yeah, you're right. Well, I would say probably two, because we would have to agree first to sell it, and then the board would act on that, I guess.
Correct.
But
Correct.
we would vote on whether to sell it and at what price, and then they would
Correct.
agree on the intermunicipal. The
Well,
other
okay,
part of it,
Todd, can I?
go ahead, sir.
You would recommend to the Board of Selectmen what the commissioners feel is what you want, and the selectmen would sign off on whatever you want, but it's under your recommendation.
Okay. The other part of it is, Dave, I would say they want to buy $500,000 a day or 500,000. I would make sure that we could sell, that we had 1 million gallons that we were not going to need, because with Lunenburg's growth, they're going to look, you always see renegotiations for more volume if they have an emergency or what have you. So not just if they ask for 500,000, I'd make sure we could give them 1 million so that we have
Right. So
that wiggle room.
our surplus is 2.5.
All right, but who's our regional assistant in planning at NEMCOG or Chaz? What's the
C.
name of that?
MRPC?
MRPC, thank you. It might be worth engaging them to see what potential growth, both in population and businesses that have the potential, like taking into account I don't think we have a good standing to not build these MBTA community stuff just because we are septic and groundwater system. And we've already shown effects from septic systems into our wells. I don't think we could take on a concentrated wastewater treatment plant because there's no place to discharge it but the ground. But we definitely should take into account and use it to our favor, that, those numbers of potential, what the use would be of those potential developments, and use that and say, we're going to need that in case this is built, and then that gives us the window and save as much of what we have as we can. I'm sorry, I'm talking way too much.
Right. So right now we just have to wait for Lunenburg on the vote. And
Yeah.
a little number I worked out, if every house in town that's on a well went on, it'd be just under 250,000 gallons per day. If
Okay.
every house in town that's on a private well joined the system. So,
Okay.
and we'll leave it at that. And then we'll move on.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything to say under my points? Okay, we've beaten those to death. Good job. 5.1, liaison update and
Mr.
reports.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
are we now posting our updates and reports? I do have an update on. I'm very close to having, you guys know, I've been going through all this physical documentation. I'm very close to having a draft for the board. So possibly the next meeting or the meeting after, we could put that on the agenda.
Is this the putting policies in the rules and regs?
This is old documentation. So if you remember, I had requested any physical and digital information that had been taken from the Townsend Water Department before you joined us, Dave. And I just because I do have a lot of physical documents. I wanted to make sure that we weren't losing any stuff that boards that I had served on, previous boards, had come up with. So, but it looks like that we really didn't get anywhere with that. So I'm going through a plethora of papers and documents. There were a few items that were in rules and regs. We had rates and fees, structures like that, policies and procedures. And, I think we'll have a good draft in about a month or two.
Well,
I have a lot on my plate, so I haven't been able to dedicate as much time as I would like to.
So yeah, I don't mind reviewing those and stuff, and to see what you have.
Yeah,
So,
it's my
point
hopes
of
that
order.
the board can.
Oh, wait a minute. Go ahead, Jess.
Point of order. Update is fine if he just wants to tell us the update, but if there's a discussion about it, there's going to be an open meeting law violation.
Yeah, we can't.
So it's fine if he just wants to say, this is what I've
This
been
is what
doing,
I-
this is where I got, but we can't talk about it unless it's on the agenda.
Thank you, Jess.
That's what he's saying, is he's just updating us that he will have that information at the next meeting. It would be posted
Perfect.
at the next meeting.
Yeah, no specifics.
Okay,
So, all right. Are we good?
we're good.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. 5.1, discuss water department Warner Road tank parcel 49-9-0. Mr. Sexton Duranian, newly reelected. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. So I have been working with the select board, in regards to some parcels that are really landlocked and are really, at this point, we just need to clean up some of the land that we have in these smaller parcels. We've gone over 3 smaller parcels that our Fish and Game or Fish and Wildlife surrounds. One of them happens to be this parcel off of Warner Road. It's 44-9-0. That was earmarked. If you look at it, it does look like a postage stamp right in the middle of the wilderness here. That was earmarked for a water tank, if I remember correctly, David, right?
That's correct. It's on the highest point on that side of town.
Right. So my question is what the commissioners want. Is that something that you see feasible to hold as town land? And if not, then I would appreciate a vote to say that, you're not going to build a tank on that, so that we would be able to turn that over to Fish and Wildlife, so that the town itself would be able to add to our pilot program.
Can I shoot on this one? So when the town acquired it, it was between two owners on both sides. Since then, Fish and Wildlife have bought both sides of the property, and there's no easement. It's also about a mile out of the way from any usable road. So
I have a quick Meadow Road. I'm looking at a map right now. Hold on one second.
While he's looking, is this the area where all those white PVC pipes are sticking out of the ground in the woods?
I don't know. I've never been over there.
it's all ledge. It's if you go up Wallace Hill Road from Highland,
Yeah.
it's a small road where the road turns left. You go to this dirt path to the right, through some wetlands to the other side, and then take a right and go about a half a mile into the woods.
Is this the access that you referred to? Is that the MWA access?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a trail that runs up there through there too, Nate.
So those PVC pipes, was that for a proposed well site or something? I've never seen that before. I didn't know.
I don't know enough about this to really. What I would say is we put this on as one of our agenda items to vote on. Next one, do a little bit more due diligence.
This is where I said earlier that to do that area of Townsend, we put a booster pump next to the existing tank with a pneumatic tank there, and that would probably save us anywhere from $4 or $5 million by not
This
putting.
thing is out in the middle of
Just need to
nowhere.
see where the hell it
Right.
is.
Yes, and it's all Fish and Wildlife that's around it. So even if you did want
Oh, I
to
know
put
where this is.
a water tank out there, it would be very difficult for us to be able to get an easement out there to even get it built.
No. And Dave, you said it's all ledge, right?
It's all ledge. It's the highest point in that part on ledge, in the middle of nowhere, through Fish and
Yeah.
Wildlife, and
And so
there's a cheaper alternative.
No, I know. What I'm saying is if it's bedrock, we really can't put a gravel pack in there, right?
Not a well, a tank.
What?
I was switching gears on it. I mean, I just don't want to give up land that we potentially could use as a source, but if it's ledge, it won't produce enough water. So
Not
that's
producing
why I
any
asked that
water
question.
water tank.
Yeah, but you can change the use.
It is
And
the
it would be
highest
surrounded
point.
by,
It's the highest point in town. Well, the second highest point in town.
Right.
The
So-
Lunenburg tank, road tank is the highest point in town.
but I'll entertain a motion. I think, I don't think we have many uses. If it is that much ledge, I'd be hesitant to put a high pressure line coming down out of there. Say it is the highest point. Say we build a 3 million gallon tank, and the altitude gives us an enormous amount of pressure. If you put a line in ledge under high pressure, it usually breaks. And having gone through a tank emptying in 6 minutes, I really don't want to do that in Townsend. So
And
I
also,
would,
Mr. Chair, you have to stop and think that that any lines that you're putting away from that particular area, it is in protected habitats as well. So it would be a difficult sell.
Yeah, it would.
That's a good
I'll
point.
entertain a motion would cede the property to town disbursement be the correct wording, Chaz?
Just that you are relinquishing that back to the town of Townsend to do as they may, or however you want to word that.
Is it going to be sold to the Department of Fish and Game?
Well, we're going to. They've asked about it. They've asked what our plans are, and if they are agreeing to it. There's 2 or 3 of these smaller parcels that we're giving them as options, and if they want to buy them, yes, that's the goal. I mean, if they don't buy them, we can't really do anything about it. I'm just trying to clean up what we have on the rolls.
Yeah, they purchased
they-
several parcels in that area not too long ago, like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all fish and wildlife in through there, and we were talking about a couple other things that we were working on with town properties. And actually the rep was the one that brought it up to me about this parcel, and I didn't have that info. So I got the information from the assessor's office, and I'm like, it literally looks like a postage stamp in the middle of all of what Fish and Game have.
I can probably safely assume no one else is going to buy it because it's in the middle of all that. So,
Really?
Once you get there, you can't go anywhere else, Todd.
I'll take the direction of the board because I'm Nate. Take the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we relinquish intent for tank. This is a tank parcel.
Second, motion's been made and seconded. We'll take a roll call vote. Todd Melanson, aye.
Nathan Madela, aye.
Jessica Funiola, yes.
Okay. Thank you very
It's
much,
unanimous.
guys.
All right. Then
Did you know that the Department of Fish and Wildlife, on average, acquires about 220,000 acres every year?
Yes. And I'll be transparent with you all as well. There's not litigation. There's legislation right now that is going to increase the amount of monies that towns and municipalities are getting back that are on the pilot program. So if we can get this in and get it approved that they're going to take it on as a project, that's going to increase the money that we get from pilot from the state. So that's kind of why I want to get this cleaned up so that the fiduciary part of it for the town gets an increase as well.
I'm all for that.
Cool.
All right. You finished, Mr. Duranian.
On this particular subject, absolutely.
All right. So we will move to 6.1 superintendent reports.
Okay.
Dave, you have the floor.
All right. So Main Street wall. The generator comes in 2 weeks, and then will be installed, and it's supposed to be finished installing by the end of the fiscal year of 30 June 2024. There's a stream gauge also being installed, which is part of which will be attached to SCADA, which will record level, flow, temperature, and dissolved solids. And that's all part of the turtle plan that's required by DEP. And that will complete everything on the Main Street wall that we have left over.
Dave, I have a question on that.
Yes.
Well, is it measuring gauge height and flow or just gauge height?
Both. So
All right. Thank you.
level, flow, temperature, and dissolved solids. So if there's any change upstream that somebody's doing something, we'll get an alert.
Okay. But this is just under our control. This isn't USGS.
That's under
It's
our
not in
control.
there. Okay.
It's required in the turtle plan.
Nope. I just want to make sure we're not getting into something where they're going to attach our withdrawals to a. Nope. All right. Good. Thank you.
So 2 meters are now at 43% complete. And of course, as you know, that our staff has put in every single one of those meters. So right now we're at 907 that are finished. Planning for the next two homes on Highland Ave for to be installed. As you know, we're eliminating that section of Highland Ave, so we're doing two more homes this summer. Working on hydrant replacement this year on Main. We're still working on Main Street. Then GIS, which the crew is doing. They're locating all the services, gates, and hydrants, and they've been doing a fantastic job on that. South Row and Emery water line is almost completely in the ground, and they'll have to go back and put hydrants. So they'll be done, the water lines, pretty much all this week, and they just have to do some connections and installing hydrants. South Row Road from Ash Street to South Harbor Road, from Ash Street to South Row will be ground on the 6th of May and will be paved completely on the 13th or 14th of May. And the highway department's doing that. So that should mitigate some of the complaints on that road, which we've had a few. PFAS plant, all the windows are in the office. The outside doors of the office will be completed tomorrow. The treatment plant veneer, the tall section, is going up now and it should be completed in the next week or so. And then they're going to start bringing up the level of the dirt. So a couple of things that have already been approved by the state is the pickup truck, an electric boom, a mower that does steep slopes, and a forklift. That's
Okay.
the boom is to inspect the tanks and to do everything. It can't be a scissor lift because the boom will move over the tanks.
Is
So-
this to move the tanks, Dave, if they need to get changed out, or?
Not to move them, to be able to change the lights above it, work on the heating system, and inspect the
Oh, all right. You mean a mobile boom? All right. When you said
Right.
boom, you mean a lift, basically, a
Right,
scaffold
it's a
lift.
boom lift.
All right.
And there's no way to see on top of them without it. So that's coming with the building. And as you know, every time you hire a contractor to fix something, they rent out a boom lift and charge you
Yep.
absurd amount of money. We'll have our own. And in the long run, it'll save us a ton of money. But that's coming with the building. The SRF has changed. I was told that we couldn't put solar on the roof until it's finished paying for. SRF has, if we do it with the contingency money, we can put solar on it. So I'm looking into that.
I would, Dave, in the same regards to the investment fund, they're specific, and so that everybody knows under procurement law, anything having to do with energy service or procurement contracts are 30B exempt. If anybody needs the line in law on it, I can get it. But we can entertain in a bid fashion 3 companies to come in and give us. There's one. I would say Nexamp would be one I would look at. They're very, very well acquainted with municipal solar. They're the ones that did back when there was ARA, the American Recovery and Rebuild Act. They're the ones who built the 15 different municipally owned solar arrays. We can talk to them. And then there's a couple of, I wouldn't do the residential ones that are doing residential. They don't have the capacity, I would say, to handle, but we can, there's a good list. There's some on the state contractors list. I think Nexamp is. There is a place where we can get, I would say 3. And again, have them come in and bid against each other and give us the best deal possible.
Well, what we cannot do is we cannot rent out the roof. The only way we can
No,
do it is we have to purchase the panels with the contingency money and you can put it on there. So that is done through Winston.
Yep. Winston
So-
Builders.
Right.
Yeah. But we
And
can
that's the
pick
only way-
firm, we can pick the firm that does it. We have to, with the monies, we have to purchase the equipment. Now, Dave, does that include doing battery backup, or is it straight used into the grid?
The building is made for, there's a place for batteries on the building inside the garage over the electric room to put them in.
All right, so I actually prefer buying the solar stuff over renting it out. It's usually
You
a
can't
better.
rent it because you
No,
can't.
I know. But even if we could, I would be opposed to it. I think it's a better deal to own them.
Right.
So yeah, Dave, does that need something to be voted on now, or is that something we should? I think it would.
It doesn't have to be voted on at all. It's just getting the right price. Chaz has his hand up.
Yes, sir. I recognize Chad.
Thank you, Todd. Dave, you guys are on the municipal aggregation, aren't you?
What do you mean?
That's what I figured. All municipal buildings in town are on an aggregate price, locked in price. So if you are thinking of doing the solar, we need to check how we can do that without getting penalized for it, because we're locked in at a price per kilowatt hour for all of our municipal buildings, and that I do believe is considering yours.
That's
Well, it's not built
actually
yet.
that's an easy answer. It's an expansion of the solar field.
What
Because we
solar?
already have a solar field there.
It's expansion of the solar field that's there, and it would hook into that.
I understand that, but you're taking out West Main, the Main Street building, correct?
But no, it's not Main Street. It's
At
the
Harvard
treatment
Trace.
plant.
I understand that.
Arbitration.
No. Stop and let's look at what your current setup is right now. Where your office is on Main Street,
Correct.
right? That is on municipal aggregation. What I'm saying is when you guys make the move, we have to make sure that that comes off of that. That's not going to affect our contracted price. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, I do now. Is there a way we can? Who's the gentleman that brokered that deal, Chaz?
Ross Perry.
Yeah. Is there a way he could attend the next meeting and we could go over that in the meeting?
I can definitely ask him to come. Sure.
All right. So there's another next meeting. Sorry, Justin, Matt, Nate. It looks like our next meeting has the potential to be a long one.
Right.
Oh,
Breaks
that's
our-
okay.
I'm used to
fine.
long meetings.
So, yeah.
So going back, the next SRF meeting is Thursday of this week, and so there'll be an update on Facebook a few days later. Witches Brook, the new generator comes in June, and Witches Brook 2 will probably be off sometime late summer till it switches over to the treatment plant. But
Yeah.
as of right now, Witches Brook 1 and 2 with the infrastructure can't run at the same time. So instead of do one either every other day, we're just going to leave one on to the system while 2 is being transferred over.
Question for you.
Yeah.
If we're going to take it off, which one did we clean a couple years ago, Dave?
Both.
If it's going to be offline and we're just going to leave one on, would it behoove us to pull it and like have it inspected, and if it needs to be cleaned?
We already did.
But it's been used for 2 years or however long since then.
When we did February of 2023 and September for number 2, and September of 23 for Witches Brook number 1
All
to
right,
get
so
ready
we're,
for this
we're
project.
all right, but we're coming in on 2 years and we've been leaning on it hard. I
Well,
think
it's been about a year, and when part of doing this is they're pulling the motors, we're changing out the motors,
all right.
we're changing out everything. It's a brand new well.
No, I know, but we're not actually changing out the physical pump down in it, are we?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so that answers my question. It's getting done what we want, but just by changing
Right.
it. So I just
I
want,
threw all
if it was going to be down, it made sense to have it looked at. But if we're changing the motors and the pumps as part of the project, then that what
Right,
I
so-
just asked is
So all the ills that we've had in the past are thrown in this project. Main Street's gonna be brand new. Harbor Trace will be brand new. Which is 1 and 2 will all be brand new. Motors, pumps, impellers, everything's changing, and to include the VFDs.
Dave. You probably are, and so I'll just ask the question since I talked about cleaning the wells. Keeping track of rotating the cleaning and keeping up on it so we're not ever falling behind. When does Cross Street come up for a cleaning?
3 years. It's on a 5-year rotation.
All right, works. Thank you.
So we have 5 wells. Every year, a well gets cleaned.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Then, so little information on the ASR. Second straight year at 4% unaccounted for water, which is fantastic since we had at least 10 to 15 years of 30 plus.
What's our residential per capita, Dave?
I don't have that number. They didn't have us, but it's way down because nobody
Are we
watered last year.
Are we below the 65, Dave?
Absolutely. I think I ran it and it was like roughly, it was in the 40s. But the year
good
before
enough
was
for me.
80.
No, I know, but that, because that'll go into when our permit comes under review. If we stay under that 65-10 rule, we're good to go. So
we're gonna be good to go because nobody watered
enough.
last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I have.
All right. Let's see, what next do we have? Hold on one second. You get her on the right page. Let's see. 7.1, schedule the next board meeting. Nate, it's to get back
The
on
next one
track.
is 13 May.
I just need to make sure let's get to my calendar.
But second Monday,
Correct, which is
Yeah.
13 May.
the 13th.
So
You
I
guys
have
know me.
nothing on
I'm
the-
super flexible.
all right, that works for me as well.
Also for me.
Jessica,
Yep.
Jazz,
Yeah, I'm good.
all right, pencil that one in, please. Nate, you're really good at this. Could you take 7.2 and the rest of 7 point whatever?
Sure. Yeah, Jess, normally what we do at this point is when we're in the meeting room, we used to do this at the desk, and we would sign monthly abatements and adjustments, review the end of month reports. Have you watched the meetings before?
No, I have not.
And also the bills payable and receivable warrants. And I guess we've been doing it for many years. I hope we're allowed. Is what we do is we vote to sign these out of session, so we're not running the camera and a recorder and tying everybody up from leaving. And people want to stick around, make sure nothing's said at right at the tail end, right? So we opt and move to sign out of session, and then we end the meeting, and then we now more so than ever because it's on Zoom, we can't sign over the computer. We sign at the bills payable for the month and all the other things that are on this list. So vote how you will. But Mr. Chairman, I move that we review monthly abatements and adjustments list, review and approve end of month reports, and sign reports and monthly bill payable warrants. Out of session.
Motion, second. Motion's been made second. Any discussion? I don't see any. Roll call vote. Todd Melanson, aye.
Nathan Madela, aye.
Jess Fanioli, yes.
I did forget one thing that I wanted to bring up, and it was in the report. I don't know how I skipped it. The last few weeks, we've had a number of people who have private wells but are near water lines or not near water lines, trying to hook up because some of them have heard of PFOS and they want to hook up. Now, as you know, there's a service connection fee, and it costs money for these people to hook up. Because of the as of the vote by the Board of Selectmen on July 2021, there's a PFOS crisis, and with the new EPA numbers, I want the board to consider to suspend the service connection fee for only existing homes.
Why don't we do this, Dave? Why don't we put that as an agenda item on the next one? Because I'd like there to be different options for us to think about, like a payment plan or a reduced. I just think fiduciarily, I understand what you're saying. I agree with it. But also the people that have already paid that, we've got to be fair to them. So give us like three options, like a payment plan, splitting up monthly over a term.
We already offer that. That's already
All
offered.
right.
But you got to understand, people didn't ask.
No, I do understand that, but the other part is we need to be fair to the people that have already paid all those. So I wouldn't be opposed. I'm not opposed to discussing any option, but I do think there should be different options for us to consider, maybe
Right.
reducing it for those. But
We got to do something because people can't afford it,
I
Right.
understand that.
and they're being
And-
forced to do this.
Point
So
of
we-
order, I just believe you need to put that on as for a discussion at a future meeting.
Yeah. So
But that's why I'm
do-
putting
yep.
it in. I'm bringing it up.
Yep.
Put it on the
Alright.
agenda for next time. But think about it, and remember, these people, EPA just lowered the numbers again. There's
Yep.
legislation out there that is going to hurt people, and just be aware of this. And
No, I do.
The legislation isn't going to hurt people. It's the people that are trying to enforce it that are going to,
correct,
aside from the actual
gonna get
PFAS.
it's the residents.
No.
So
So
just please think about it, and we need to try to do something.
no, I agree with that. One thing I did think about, Dave, can you have Brenda make up stamps for Jessica? I think Nate and I have them. Sometimes if you can't get to sign a warrant, if they send it to you in digital form, you can read it and then send an email that you approve to use your stamp to approve
Give
it.
her invisible ink.
Only
I'm
on
not
your
here to-
paycheck, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. Thank you.
I asked for that one.
you did. All right. Does anybody have anything else left for us this evening?
Mr.
that being-
Chairman,
yes, sir.
I move that we adjourn the Water Commissioners meeting.
I'll second.
Motion's been made in second. Roll call vote. Todd Melanson, aye.
Nathan Madela, aye.
Jess Fanioli, yes.
Thank you very much for your time. You all have a great week and a great weekend.
Thank you. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you.
Do you just want to officially adjourn the meeting, Mr. Chairman?
So I adjourn. I thought we did with the vote. I adjourn the meeting of the Townsend Board of Water Commissioners on April 23rd at 8:38 p.m. You all have a great week and a great weekend again.
Thank you.
You too. Good night.